is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
Back. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. This is the value of wrestling. You know who I am. The one, the only, the big time. Oh, I'm the big time. I'm here with a quick rant. Going to bring you something before we go live later tonight right here on the Value of Wrestling YouTube channel. It's going to be the weekly roundup for the week of September 23rd, 2023. The month of September is almost over. We're ramping up. Now, October will be here soon. Wrestle Dream, which is meh. We're still waiting to see how that builds. And, of course, Fastlane, same boat. We're waiting to see how that gets built up. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to talk over, real quick, touch on a couple things, rant on a couple things. Well, really just one thing, because it's really bad. It really is just bad. And it's not good going forwards, and so we are going to talk about what happened in AEW this week and the major fail. So, Wednesday night, Dynamite, live. We had a Ray Phoenix versus Jon Moxley match. In that match, Jon Moxley took a concussion. Some people say it was at the beginning of the match, where he definitely looks like he totally got knocked out. When Ray Phoenix came flying off the map, knocked Jon Moxley to the outside onto the apron floor there, knocking him down. And when he picked him up and was messing with him, you could just see Moxley wasn't completely there. Moxley seemed to eventually come back around, tried to put on a good match, and then in the end we had Ray Phoenix hit a Phoenix driver, a Black Tiger driver, or a Black Fire driver. I mean, I've heard so many different names for this move. Anyways, it was an over-the-shoulder down into a tombstone type of power driver where Moxley's head impacted the mat. If you watch different angles of this, you could see Moxley's head hit the mat in that first one. Phoenix hit it, covered Moxley for a 1, 2, 2.5. His shoulders were still down, but referee Rick Knox stopped the count. Why? Don't know, because referees, as far as I understand and everything I've known about referees, is you continue to do what's going on. If you count a 3 count and the wrestler messes up or doesn't kick out in time, then you count that 3, and that's where we go, and that's how it goes down, and we continue with the story. Rick Knox decided not to count the 3, and instead of calling audible or doing something different or stopping the match or changing something, he let Moxley take control, say, do it again, and let Moxley go back up for another Ray Phoenix, a Phoenix driver, a Black Fire driver, whatever it's called, hitting his head a second time. And if you go back and watch it, you can see even the ref jumps as Moxley's head impacts the ring. And if you look around and find fan footage that's out there, you can see immediately after the match that the referee, the EMT, or the medical team that's there are all in the ring. They're holding on to Moxley's neck. They know that something serious has happened. And this was a bad botch. And Rick Knox should have stepped in way earlier. Knox has been under a lot of heat previous with the match that had Matt Hardy that got hurt, and another match. I forget who exactly it was. Alex Reynolds, the Alex Reynolds match. So a lot of heat on him, Rick Knox, for not checking on Moxley or saving Moxley from himself, or calling an audible and trying to replace or do something different in that match, because it was a really bad situation. And so Rick Knox is taking a lot of heat. So you take that, and then you roll into Rampage. Now, Rampage is a recorded show that's on the same night. So the same night they record Dynamite Live, Rampage gets pre-recorded, posted up on Fridays. And so it's in the same building, same arenas. It's just recorded after Dynamite goes off the air. So what happened on Dynamite? We had the Ring of Honor 6-man tag titles on the line. We had Brian Cage and we had the whole Mogul Embassy against the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks. So we get to the end of the match, and we have another really bad botch finish, which I'm going to share with you now. We're at the moment here. Brian Cage. We're at the moment here. There we go. There, it's better. You can see Brian Cage is hoisting up or getting ready to hoist up Adam Cole. Let me hit play, and let's watch this through. Hangman goes up, verts it into a roll-up, and there's a 1, a 2, and a 3. And if you don't see that this whole time that Brian Cage is, let's try here. I don't know how to slow it down. Okay, so he's there. His shoulders are on the top of Page's boots, still up. And then right there, we see that his shoulders are not anywhere near that mat. He is off the mat during that whole 3 count. The ref is not in a position to even see that other shoulder. So why does he count a 3 here? Why does he allow a 3 to be counted here? But in a Moxley-Ray Phoenix match, he stops the count. Do it one more time. We get the roll up. There. We can see Brian Cage's shoulders are up on Hangman's boots. We revert, and right there, you can see a full gap of where his shoulders should be down on the mat. The referee cannot possibly see the shoulders down. Counts to 1, 2, 3. We see right here, before the ref hits 3, Brian Cage's shoulder is completely off the mat. Now, let's go over here, get that off the screen, get back to me. There we go. So, we see that his whole shoulder's off the mat. This is the same referee. This is Rick Knox. And we see another episode of just a really bad botch finish. Now, the announcing doesn't acknowledge this in any shape or way or form. Could this be used later in the storyline? Could be. Should be. Brian Cage was not pinned. The Mogul Embassy should have not lost those titles in that moment. The Elite, the Young Bucks, Adam Page and the Young Bucks should not be the champions after winning in that scenario. We need a rematch. Hopefully this leads to a rematch. Hopefully they use this appropriate in storyline. Please, Tony Khan, make it make sense. Fix this issue. I don't see anybody else calling this out, but come on. We got to call this stuff out. That's why we're out here. This is what we do as reporters and journalists. If we don't call out stuff that doesn't make sense or doesn't look good or is just really bad, and we don't have accountability and we don't hold accountability, then what are we doing? You know, we can't let stuff slide. Now, I know Steven Richards had a video up of Ray Phoenix in the Jon Moxley match, reviewing that in real slow-mo, and it got taken down. Some people are saying that's a Warner Brothers call. Some people are saying that's an AEW call. Steven Richards did kind of have the same kind of thing. I don't think Steven Richards' video should have been taken down. I don't think he misappropriately used it. I think he was pointing out a couple of things in the match that are very viable. Just the risk that was taken with Moxley. When he was first concussed, that definitely looked like he was concussed from the beginning of that match, and nobody stopped or interfered. There was no stoppage in the match to check to make sure he was going to be okay, to keep him from hurting himself any further. Then we allowed him to take 2 Phoenix drivers or black fire drivers, which put his head into the mat. And that's not going to help somebody who's already had a possible concussion. Now Moxley's been reported with minor concussion. He came out with minor concussion. He's under concussion protocols, and we do not know when Moxley's going to be back in the ring. So, yeah, there's a lot of heat on Rick Knox for the bad refereeing on that one. We have to look at it now and go, this would have been the same night. This would have been 2 matches in the same night that he is botching on. And obviously, the thing here is AEW should have made sure the camera wasn't in that position. I mean, whoever runs their cameras should have made sure, like, oh, get off that angle and switch angles. Or, an audible something should have came from this that I've heard nothing about. And it doesn't seem like anybody's acknowledging that Brian Cage's shoulders were nowhere near that mat. At least his one shoulder that we can plainly see his day was not down on the mat. For most of that pinfall. If he was down for 1, maybe, but by 2 and 3, his shoulders were clearly off the mat, and it was not a good roll-up. It just didn't work the way they wanted it to, and, it was just bad in the fact of the matter that the camera caught it. I think that's the biggest thing that AEW and Tony Khan are going to have to work on is their camera angles, because they want to give us good action. They get in there really good, like this one. This is a really good shot in there where we can see, yeah, Brian Cage's shoulder is not on the mat right there. So that 3 count should not happen. Will this lead into the storyline? I'm hoping that's what the story is, and then we can, backtrack and go, okay, this was all set in the motion to happen this way. But after a bad match on Wednesday, it's kind of bad to have another situation with the same referee looking like he's botching. And so I would just say, Tony Khan, you got to think about all these things. You already have a little bit of heat on the referee, sending him out there, be put in a position where is this all set up? Is this kayfabe, or was this really a botch situation where Brian Cage was supposed to be pinned? This was supposed to be a legitimate 3 count, and this isn't anything to do with the story. Now they could turn this into a story, which they really are going to have to. I mean, you have to take this and make it into a story to make it fit a narrative, to make it make sense and justify anybody who's calling, we the people, we the fans of professional wrestling, you should be calling out like, hey, that's not legit. That's really bad. We can suspend our disbelief, but when you obviously point it out to us, or we can obviously the blatancy of that, the breaking that barrier, or breaking us out of that ability to believe that this can happen. As soon as you break that, and we're hit with like, oh, okay. You take us out of the match. You got to keep us in the match by telling the story in the match and doing things that keep us invested in the match. But as soon as something like this happens, we're taken out of the match because we're like, hey, that's not right. So we have a bad call here. I'm hoping what this really was all set up. This is all kayfabe. That this was all meant to play out this way to continue the storyline between the embassy. The Mogul Embassy and the Elite in some form or another, that we're going to get a rematch, saying my shoulders weren't pinned, and carry it on forwards, but we will have to wait and see. We know that Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page have a match coming up at Wrestle Dream, so that's going to be there, but we're going to have to see something that fixes this match, hopefully tonight on Collision, maybe something we mentioned about this, because they really need to get this storyline fixed, because it happened, and if you didn't see it, you can go back and watch it. I showed you here, but I don't want to show you again. But you can go watch it. It's on, it's out there. But it's a bad botch. It's a bad botch, and it's obvious. Now, if it's a setup and this was supposed to happen, then good job. But we still got to call it out. That's what we're here. We in this community of wrestling podcasting, the internet wrestling community. When we see something, we got to call it out. That's what good reporting is. That's what we do. But. That's a bad situation, especially after the prior match with Ray Phoenix and Jon Moxley. Unfortunately, this is the Rick Knox looking bad in one night as a referee. This one may or may not have been unintentional. This may have been a kayfabe setup. This may have happened for a reason and maybe part of his storyline. So we have to understand that. Or it may be completely a bad call, that this wasn't ever supposed to happen, but because of the camera angle, we're seeing a botch pin. So, what do you think? Put your comments down below. If you're here, please make sure you subscribe, like, share this out, ring that bell for notifications. You want to have that bell ring for notifications so you know when we go live tonight right here on the YouTube channel with the Value Wrestling Weekly Roundup. Myself, the Big Time, along with one of the wonderful founding fathers of the Value Wrestling, Paulus Clark, and of course, our New Japan Pro Wrestling expert, who does the New Japan Rebound over there on Spotify. Miguel Z will be in studio with us tonight. It'll be a 3-man team to review this week of wrestling. We will go over all the shows, everything that went down. We will touch on all these things. They will get to voice their opinions on all this, and we will definitely break that all down. We will talk again about some of the big breaking news for the week. We do know that, after our video, Matt Riddle was released. We'll definitely be talking a little bit about the release of Matt Riddle, why we think that happened, what we see in the future of Matt Riddle, and where we think is, what should be Matt Riddle's next step, at least in our opinion. So we'll talk a little about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the news and rumors of Vince McMahon and what's happening with him. We will talk about the news and rumors of SmackDown moving to the USA Network on a $1.4 billion agreement with 4 specials being aired on NBC. What does that mean for Raw and SmackDown? Are they leaving the USA Network? Is Raw going to be on a different night? Are they going to a streaming service? Is this going to be a package deal? So a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to review that at the weekly roundup, so make sure you join us there. And on a side note, if you're 100% Mark, you're not doing what you should. Don't go full Mark. You can be a Mark. You can love the world of professional wrestling. You can cheer whoever you like. You can boo whoever you like. You can fully voice your opinion, and we welcome that here. This is an inclusive community where we welcome all your comments. who you like. Share your wrestling stories. Share, who your favorites are, who you don't like. And there's no wrong answer here. But just never be 100% Mark. And until next time, or the next episode, been the big time. This is the Value Wrestling. This was another rant. We'll see you later.